Welcome back to a brand new episode of Mastering Programming. In today's episode, we're going to be learning about code.org. Now, this is a platform that is entirely for free for teachers and students. It allows you to use your browser, so you don't need to install anything. And basically, it's designed for absolute beginners to teach them about programming, coding, how to create games, how to create apps, and so on. Now, in this tutorial, I will show you our first project. We're actually going to build it entirely from scratch in less than 30 minutes. And what we're going to be creating is a very simple app that allows you to add different buttons. And whenever you click on any of the buttons, you're going to hear the sound of the animal on that button. For example, if I click on dolphin, it's going to say dolphin was clicked, and then it's going to play the sound that a dolphin makes. Same thing if I click on duck, and so on. Now, if you're interested to play around with this project on your own and at least see whether this tutorial is worth it or not, I'll leave this link in the description, and you can actually straight away click on it. You'll be presented with this app and you can interact with it at any point. You can also then click on view code, which will show you the code that I used in order to create this, or click on make my own, which will take you to your own editor where you can also create your own. Aside from that, let's get started. I'll teach you how to do this from scratch. It's entirely designed for beginners. It's so easy and I'm sure you will love it. Let's get started. This stage, you would have already created an account on code.org. It's very easy to create an account. I already have an account and I already made a video showing how to create an account. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure you go back, watch that video, and then come back for this one. Now, once you've created an account and you're logged in, and if you can't see this page, what you need to do is you need to click on this arrow over here and click on my projects, and you should arrive at this page over here. Now you can see that I don't have any existing projects, and this is because it's a new account that I'm going to use to go over our app and how to create it. Now, what you need to do is you need to click on App Lab. And once you arrive at this page, you can see that on the left side, you sort of have a preview on what your app is going to look like. So far we've only got one screen. The toolbox over here has so many different functions that you can use, and we're going to go over what each of these do and how we can use them. And here is our workspace. And the idea is that you can hold and drag items that you want to include inside your workspace. And I'll explain again how everything here works. But every time you want to add something, you are simply just going to be dragging this and placing it inside the block over here, just like Legos. For now, let's actually delete them, and to do that you can click on it and drag it back over here, and you can use as many as you want from the same element. For example, if you want to add multiple buttons, all you need to do is add this block over here, and let's say we want to add 4. Like this, and finally the 4th one. Now we have 4 different buttons that were added. And again, we're going to go over in detail what each of these do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I want to make sure that my screen is just not white. So as you can see at the moment, it's just simply white, and we don't want that. And that's to change that. All we need to do is we need to click on design over here. And now we can actually drag and drop elements, but also we can change the background color of the screen. And just to show you what we can do in the design toolbox now is we can actually hold or click on a button and add it and place it anywhere we want on the screen, which is pretty cool. For now, let's drag it back. And what I want to do is I want to go back to my screen 1. This is the name of our screen that we're currently on. And I'm going to go to background color over here, and I'm going to select this box over here. And now we can select a color. So let's say we select that one, and this becomes the background of my screen. And you can actually customize this to be whatever you want. In this tutorial, I'm going to choose to make it light green, but you're more than welcome to try any other color you would like. Simply drag this ball anywhere, and then drag this ball into whichever color you want. For me, I'm just going to keep it that way. If you'd like to copy the exact same color that I have, all you need to do is you need to come into this text box and type hashtag 7DEC57, just like this. Now that we've got the same background color that we would like, what I want to do is I want to add 6 different buttons, and all of them will play a different sound once we click on them. So for now, instead of adding the button straight away, what we can do is we can actually add a title of our app. So let's go over label, and we're going to add it somewhere in the center over here, like this. And you can see that now the text is showing in our app. Now on the right side here, under properties, we can see that the ID of this element is label 1. And here we've got another field called text. And if we want to change the text or what this text says, all we need to do is we need to come over here and we can type anything, and you can see straight away that this changes in the app. So now let's give it a proper title, and I'm going to call it Animal Sounds, because that's going to be the name of our app. And I'm just going to place it again somewhere in the center like this. Now something cool is that we can also change the positioning over here. So I can do this and you can see that it moves, or you can simply type in a number and it's going to move to that position. Now X means that it's going to go from left to right over the horizontal line like this. Y, on the other hand, means that it's going to go from top to bottom. So if I go over here and I put 70, you can see that it went down. If I put 0, it goes all the way to the top. And if you click on this arrow, you can see that it moves just like that. Now you can also give a background color to this text. So let's actually have a look at what that would look like. For now it's transparent, but if I do this and then increase the opacity, you can see that now it's different. It does actually have a background. Let's go back and change it. I don't want to actually add a background. We can also change the font. So we can choose for the font to be like this. We can choose comic, and maybe that's how I want it to be. And we can also increase the font. And increasing the font is so easy. You can actually put a number straight away in the text box, or you can simply drag this element like this by clicking on the arrow up to increase the font size. And that's what I'm going to do. Now finally, we've got our text alignment, and this can be from left to right, it can be from right, or it can be in the center. However, because we only have one line at the moment, it's not actually going to make a difference. After adding our title of the app, what I want to do is I want to add 6 different buttons, 3 on each side, and each of these buttons will have an animal's name. So let's start by the first one. We are going to put it like this. Let's start with this one. We're going to add all 6 buttons, and then we're going to work with the design. Awesome. So now that we've got 6 different buttons, let's make sure it looks good. So what I'll do is I'll try center it like this. And something that we can do is, if you want it all to be aligned, is we can click on this and you can see that once I click on this button, so button ID 2, and we can have a look at the X position, it's at 35, where we can make sure that each other button is also at position 35. And we can click on this one, position 35, there we go. And we can simply just drag this to make it at the center. Now for this one, I want to center it over here. Let's have a look at what the X position is for that one. So it's at 185. So I can go over here and I can type 185. I can come over here and I can type 185. And that means all of these are aligned at the same position as well. Now we want to align this with that button. So we can either just drag and drop it until it fits, or if it's too hard to tell, what you can do is you can click on this button. You can check that the Y position is 220, and then you can come over here and you can also, let's say this was somewhere else, you can simply come here and say 220, and now it's over here. And again, let's just make sure that it's at 185. So now we've got all the buttons aligned in like this. They're almost exactly on the same height. At least for now, we can work on it. And I don't want it to just say button, because I want it to have dog, cat, bird, alligator, whatever it is. So let's click on this button, and instead of it saying button, let's change it to dog. Let's then go over here, and I'm going to say cat. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to go over here, and I will say, maybe we can say something like parrot. We'll click on this one, and we can say lion. We'll click on this one, and we are going to say monkey. We're going to click on this one, and I'm going to say mouse. So now we've got 6 different animals that we can hear the sounds of. We've got dog, cat, parrot, lion, monkey, and mouse. And what we want to do is that every single time someone clicks on a specific button, we want a reaction, or we want to hear the sound of that animal. Let's go ahead and change from design. Let's move back to code. And now we can actually put some actions or perform some things whenever one of these is clicked. Let's first understand how that works. Now, if we go back to design and click on dog, for example, you can see that the button ID is button 2. So whenever we want to refer to that button, or whenever we want that button to do anything, we need to say when button 2 is clicked, something happens. So let's go back to code, and you can see here the button or on event. And what I'll do is I'll actually drag an event over here. For ID, I'm going to place the ID of this element. So let's go back to design and just confirm. When I click on dog, we can see that it's button 2. Let's go ahead and copy that. I'm going to back to code, and inside of here, I'm going to place button 2. And we can say on click, and now everything inside of this bracket, so between line 1, so everything inside of this bracket and this bracket is going to run whenever someone clicks on button 2. Let's really quickly just check that this will actually work. And the best way to do this is if we click on variables, and then we click on console.log message. And this basically means that we're just simply going to print something. And if I now click on run, when you click on run, your app is basically running. It's as if you clicked on the app on your phone, and everything in the workspace is actually going to run. For example, now if I click on dog, you can see at the very bottom that message is being printed for us, or we're seeing it, which means if I click on cat 2, nothing happens. So if I go ahead and clear this, if I click on lion, nothing happens. If I click on cat, nothing happens. But if I click on dog, because dog has button ID button 2, when that gets clicked, the app basically checks, okay, a button with the ID button 2 was clicked, and now we're going to make whatever is written here run. Now I can click reset, and I can go inside of here, and I can change this from saying message to, let's say, dog was clicked. And now if I click on run and I click on dog, you can see that we have dog was clicked is now printed. If I click on anything else, nothing happens. So before we make the sounds work, a good idea is usually to make things easy for us. And we're actually going to repeat this process for all the different buttons. We're going to make sure that whenever each of these buttons is clicked, the name of the animal is being printed, and then was clicked is also being shown. So let's go back to UI controls. We're going to drag another on event. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've already added 2, so let's add a few more. And we're gonna do this again once for each single button. And if we count this now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We already got dog was clicked. Now what I want to do is I want to go to design. And remember, this was button 2. This is button 5. So let's go over here, and we're going to be typing button 5. This was button 3 for the parrot. So let's go back over here, and we can say button 3. And we're just going to keep repeating this process. For line, it was button 6. For monkey, it was button 4. And finally for mouse, can you guess what it will be? It's button 7. So let's go back over here and put button 7. So now it means that every time we click on any of these items, let's say we click on button 5, which is this one, we're going to have whatever's inside of this bracket printed. For now, let's make sure that we have got it correct by going to variables, scrolling down to console.log, and we're going to drag one for each. Like this. Now we already got one for the dog. Let's see, button 5 was the cat. So let's go over here and we can say, we are going to delete the original message and we can say cat was clicked. Parrot is button 3, so we're gonna go over here and we're gonna say, we're gonna say parrot was clicked. 6 is line, so we're gonna go over here and we're gonna say line was clicked. 4 is monkey, so we can come over here and we can say monkey was clicked. Button 7 was mouse, so we can say mouse was clicked. Awesome. Now let's run this application and we're gonna see that if I click on dog, you can see at the bottom here dog was clicked. If I click on mouse, nothing happens, which means we did something wrong. But if I click on lion, it's working. If I click on cat, it's working. If I click on parrot, it's working. And monkey, it's working. So there was one that did not work, and that is the mouse. And straight away, when I have a look here, we can see that we did a mistake. We said on event, and instead of saying click, we wrote mouse was clicked. So let's reset. Let's change this back by deleting everything inside of here to click. And then inside the message, here we can say, here we can go ahead and say mouse was clicked. And now if we run this, when we click on each of these, we can see here that our app knows exactly which button we clicked on, and that's because we're referring to its specific ID. Awesome, so that was the first step into making sure that each of these buttons are working. Now what would we like to do? Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually be going back to design, and I'm going to be adding another text over here. Like this. And inside of that text, so that text now has an ID of label 2. And what I want to do is that once a button is clicked, I want that text to show or to say which button was clicked. So let's go back to UI control over here and let's scroll down until we see something that says set text, which means change this text to whatever text I'm going to say here. So I'm going to drag it over here. And again, we need to pass the specific ID for that text. In our case, it's label 2. So we can simply say label 2. And inside of here, we can say dog was clicked. Now let's run this and check if it's working. So as you can see, we've only done this for the button 2. So if I click here, this gets printed. But if I click over there, you can see that it says dog. So it changed, but it's not big enough to fit all this text. So let's go back to the design and we're going to see that little gray arrow. We're going to drag it and we're going to make sure it's huge like this. And we can drag it over here. And now it should hopefully be enough. So let's run this app again. And if I click on dog, you can now see that it says dog was clicked. Awesome. And something else that we can do is we can select this and then scroll down to where it says text alignment, and we can put it in the center. And that means that now if I run this, you can see that dog was clicked is now in the center. Let's reset and let's do this exact same thing for all the other animals. So I'm gonna again go to UI controls, check where it says set text. I'm gonna put one over here, and we are now going to refer to the same label because we want the same text to change, so that it will always be label 2. And inside of here, this one was the cat, so we can say cat was clicked. Let's do the exact same thing for each of them. Again, label 2. And here we can say parrot was clicked. We're going to select set text. Again, now for the line, again, same ID because it's the same text. And here we're going to say line was clicked. Let's copy this 2 more times. One for the monkey and one for the mouse. Here we're going to refer to it as label 2 as well. And inside of here we're going to say monkey was clicked. Finally here label 2, and then over here we can simply say mouse was clicked. Let's run this app now, and I'm going to click dog. We can see dog was clicked. Cat, ooh, we got a problem here, and it's telling us that when we clicked on cat, the set text, so this function sorry, over here on line 7, you can see the error message here as well. It's telling us that it tried to refer to an ID of label 2, but it does not exist. And if we have a look closely, we can see that, and we reset this, we can see that the ID for the text, as you can see from here, is label 2, L-A-B-E-L. But I actually misspelled it and I wrote it as L-E-B-E-L. So it's very important to write the exact ID, otherwise your app is not going to work. So let's quickly, what we can do is we can just go over here. And I actually did it for all of them. Oh no, it was only for cat. Now that it's correct, if I run this again, I click on dog, it says dog was clicked. I click on cat, it says car, it's meant to be cat, we spelled it wrong. We click on carrot, it says parrot was clicked. Line was clicked. Monkey was clicked. And mouse was clicked. So we can see that now everything is working perfectly. And maybe the last thing we can do is we can just change this to cat. And now if I run this and click here, it says cat was clicked. Awesome. So let's have a review on what we did so far. We created 6 different buttons. Each of these buttons has its own ID. If you have a look here, it says button 2. If you have a look there, button 5, and so on. We use those IDs to refer to whenever an event happens. If something gets clicked, we make sure, or we check, or what ID it was clicked on. And then what we do is that everything inside of this bracket is going to run when that ID is clicked. For example, right now, if we click on dog, it gets printed, so this runs, and then it sets the text. And we can add as many things as we want. And we did this for each single button. Now, the final thing that we want is to actually play a specific sound. So what we can do is we can, again, in UI controls, have a look, and we can see that something says play sound. From the name of this, we can tell that if we drag this play sound, a sound is going to play. Let's go ahead and drag it, and I'm going to put it on line 4 here, right under set text. So we're going to set the text, and then we're going to play the sound on the first button, button 2, which refers to dog. Now, over here, it tells us that we can provide a URL or a link to an MP3 video or file, and it will play it. For now, let's have a look at what will actually happen if I go ahead and click now on dog. And I'm not sure if you can hear this in the recording, but there is currently a sound being played every single time I click on dog. And I'm assuming this is happening to you as well. Now let's have a look at what we can do here. I'm going to reset, and luckily design.org does provide us with a lot of default sounds that we can use. And to select from them, what you need to do is you need to click on this down arrow over here, this one, and then click on choose. And here you can see that we've got so many different sounds. We've got hits, bells, animals, and obviously we're making an app about animal sounds. So what we can do is we can click on animals, and you can see that we've got bears, we've got cat, we've got chicken, and we've got so many. For the button that we want, it's obviously the dog one. So let's have a listen to how that sounds. I'm going to select that one and click on choose. And you can see that automatically filled the button with the URL that we need. And now if I click on run and click on dog, you can see now that that becomes something that we can hear. Once we interact with it, we can hear it. Now let's do the same thing for all the other buttons. So I'm going to go to cat, and I'm going to drag play sound under just like this. Again, we're going to repeat the exact same step. So I'm going to click on the down arrow. I'm going to click on choose. I'm going to click on animals. And we can have a look at where cat is, or we can actually just search it up. So I'm going to search it up, and I'm going to drag it. And now we've got one for cat. Now we know it's working, so let's not preview it for each single button. Let's go to parrot, and let's click on play sound, and we're gonna drag it over here. We're going to click on this down arrow, click on choose, click on animals, and it seems, oh come on, surely there is a parrot. So unfortunately there is no parrot that they have available. So instead what we can do is we can actually select dolphin. And obviously we want this to play a dolphin. So now what we can do is we can change this from saying parrot was clicked to saying dolphin was clicked. And we can do and repeat the same thing here. And now whenever this is clicked, it's going to print dolphin was clicked. It's going to set the label as dolphin was clicked. And now we just need to change the button to actually say dolphin instead of parrot, because we couldn't find one for a parrot. So we can come over here and I can simply type dolphin, and you can see that it now says dolphin. So we've got 3 different animals left, which is pretty cool. We're doing this so quick. What we need to do again, we're gonna drag play sound, and we're gonna drop it for lion. We're going to click on this button over here. We're going to click choose animals. Let's hope, is there a lion? There is no lion, so we can change it to bear. And this is really good practice to show you how you can change things later on. And we're going to change this from saying lion was clicked to bear was clicked. Here again, for a print message, we can say bear. We'll go to design, we'll select lion, and we're going to change it to bear. Cool. Let's just run the app real quickly, because we made multiple changes, and make sure that it's actually working the way we're expecting it to work. So I'm going to click on run. If I click on dog, we're getting a dog sound. Bear, very scary, but we're hearing it. If I click on dolphin, and finally cat. Awesome. So we've got 4 different buttons to work. We've got 2 left, and now we're going to be done after we finish those 2. So let's click on reset. Let's go to monkey. Fingers crossed there is a monkey sound. We're going to drag the play sound function and drop it just over here. Click on the down arrow, click choose, click on animals. Alright, do you guys think there will be a monkey? And there is a monkey. Let's hear what it sounds like. Awesome, I'm sure we can use that. So we're going to click on choose. And finally, mouse. Now, I'm not sure if they're gonna have mouse or not, but let's try our luck. I'm going to drag play sound and get excited, because this is the last thing that we're actually gonna do. And I'm going to click on the down arrow. I'm going to check on choose, click on animals. Let's search up if we've got a mouse. Unfortunately, we do not have a mouse. So again, you have your entire freedom to select any animal that you want. And now that you know how to do it, you can change it. For me, I'm just going to choose, let's say maybe duck. I think that sounds pretty funny. I'm going to click choose. And again, just how I told you, I'm going to have to change it from saying mouse to duck because we couldn't find the duck sound. Again, let's do it for here as well. And let's go back to design. And for mouse, let's change this to duck. Now, let's run this app. It's actually going to be the final thing that we did. And let's see if it works or not. So if I click on run, again, duck, we get the sound of a duck. If I click on monkey, if I click on bear, if I click on dolphin, cat, and dog, you can see that all our buttons are actually working. All the text is changing properly. Our title is showing. In this tutorial, basically, you've learned how to do your first app where you can play different animal sounds and you can add as many buttons as you want. And even record your own voices or videos. Maybe even record your dog and put that sound instead of using the sound already provided. This is a very simple app that we did at the beginning. In the next tutorials, I'm going to show you how you can make games, how you can show images, how you can make your own calculator or your own dictionary. It's going to be so fun, and make sure you show this to your friends so you can impress them and your parents as well. I hope to see you in the next episode.